Hi and welcome to the channel, Budget Audio Review and Upgrades. Now today I'll be showing you me repairing this Pioneer DVD stroke CD player that's had a cracked circuit board in the end on the power supply, something that I wasn't aware of when I first opened it up. Wasn't that apparent, but first of all I thought it was going to be a belt on the CD tray mechanism, so I will show you both, me looking for the belt and also repairing the crack. Now if you've got a similar CD player or DVD player where the tray's not opening, it's probably going to be something to do with the belt rather than a crack on the circuit board, but you will see me do that. And I'll maybe show you another DVD player that's where the belt would be on that in comparison to where it is on this model. Now your model may be vastly different to this model, so just bear that in mind, and maybe best to go and get a manual off of iFi Engine for your particular model if they've got it up there, and having a little scout through, and hopefully that gives you a bit more information of where the belt may be on your CD, DVD player, etc. Now the reason for buying this DVD player was that I'm going to bring up a video in a month or so, whenever I get time to actually put it all together and have a listen and get hold of the units of maybe 5 or 6 DVD players, stroke CD players, and just CD players, a budget level, you know, right rock bottom price kind of level that you may want to go out and buy if you're building up like a really tight budget system and you still want to get a reasonable sound out of it. So that was the idea behind the video. I bought this one advertised as working, but unfortunately, as you'll see, it got damaged through the post. But I take it got damaged through the post and arrived to me non-working, so I'm going to take you through the process of me actually doing that as we go along. Right, on this particular unit, the screws are located where these yellow arrows are pointing. Not easy to see in the picture I'm showing you here, awkward camera angles, etc., and bits in the way, but that's where they are. They're fairly visible. If I just show you another picture of another unit, as you can see, the yellow arrows showing you where the screws are, and this would be common on most CD or DVD players, on where exactly the screws would be located, that kind of position, that far apart from each other, and they'd be like screwed into some plastic posts or directly onto the metal chassis, something like that. But I think you'll be able to work out where they are to get the mechanism out. Right, back to our actual unit. Now before we can actually undo these 4 screws and pull that tray out to have a look where the belt may be undone from the CD eject mechanism, or the CD tray eject mechanism, if I can say it, that is, there's actual plastic cover on the front. It's kind of clips on the front of this particular player. You may find it on your that's actually bigger than the old in the front of the unit, so if we undone these, we still won't be able to pull the CD completely free of the unit because this cover's in the way. So what I'm going to do is look for a way of actually ejecting this drawer manually, and lucky enough there's a little cog sticking out which I'm going to show you now. And what I want to do is start turning this cog so the tray comes out, and it'll be all coming apparent exactly what I'm doing as we're going along. And there's a picture with the red arrow of the actual cog towards the side of the CD tray mechanism, the CD player, that will be turning to eject the tray from the unit. Right, here's me actually attempting that. Now due to camera angles, you're not going to be able to see me actually turning the cog, but you've got an idea. I'm going where the cog is there with my fingers. I'm going to turn it slowly just to eject the tray, and then we're actually going to eject it fully, but it's no need for you to do that on your particular player. Maybe if you need to take the front cover off the tray, just far enough to take the cover off would be enough, but in this case I'm just showing you that you can fully eject it by turning this little cog. It takes a bit of time. It's a slow process, no need to worry. Don't start putting it at the front trying to help it out, and I think you end up jamming the gear or maybe breaking a tooth from the cog, something like that. Just take it nice and easy, and as you can see, there's the tray fully ejected. Right, with the CD tray fully extended, we can take the front cover off. It's kind of clipped on. Now this would stop the tray going right the way through and us putting the complete unit through the unit. And this part doesn't fit through the front fascia of the DVD player, so now that's removed, we can push that tray back in and take the unit fully out. So back to moving the drawer inwards, so we turn the cog obviously the opposite way. All takes time, it's very slow, but as they say, patience is a virtue, and we finally get it in now. Don't push it in, don't force it, because we don't want to ruin the teeth on them cogs whatsoever or jam the mechanism. As you can see, it's quite a long process, and hopefully you haven't fell asleep watching this at the moment, but there you go. the tray is now fully back in, and now we can remove the unit. Right, so we're going to undo the 4 screws. Sorry there's no sound. I actually recorded this while my wife was playing Mario, and you don't want to hear all the swearing and shouting. She gets frustrated playing that game, that's for certain. So yeah, I do this in the background. I actually should have talked over her while I was doing it. Would have made the video editing so much easier. So I'll make sure the missus is out next time I attempt anything like this. But anyway, I'm just undoing the 4 screws as indicated by them arrows earlier. And now this unit will pull out, as you see, nice and easy, where if that front cover was on, there'd be no way that it would pull out. It'd be getting stuck on the front fascia of the actual DVD unit itself. So here we go, we're going to pull it out now. Still got a couple of connections connected, so just gingerly pulling it out. And as you can see, there's a couple of them ribbon type cables still attached to one of the motherboards in there, and we're just going to grab hold of them nice and tight towards the end, just give them a little wiggle and pull them out, and they will both pull out nice and easy. And there you've got the unit completely out of the unit, and we can have a little look at that CD player. Right, now we have the unit out. As you can see, this is the cog I was turning earlier. That turns another cog, and the belt to the motor. So in reverse, the motor would return the top cog, which would turn this bottom cog, which would eject the tray. As you can see, these are at the bottom of the unit. Now I'm going to show you a picture where the actual belt and mechanism is to the side of a unit. This is the one I showed you earlier. As you can see, the belt is to the side of the unit and the cog. Now if that belt went and you need replacing, it's a little bit more trickier than our unit. You'd have to undo these 2 yellow arrowed cogs first of all to get to the belt, or to get to replace the belt on that particular unit. Just a little bit more trickier than the unit we've got at the moment, which is a little bit more straightforward. As you can see, just playing that video once again very quickly, our belt and cog is at the underneath of it, but it's very easy just to undo that belt and swap it over with a new one, or if it's actually disintegrated, just put a new one straight on. Straightforward job there. Okay, as we can see, the belt's fully attached, not perished in any way or anything like that. So obviously the motor's not spinning for some reason, so I wonder if the motor's gone open circuit, or we're getting no power going to the CD or DVD drive unit itself. So let's have a little look at the power supply board and see what's happening there next. I think here you can see the power supply. Now what I'll normally do here is get the voltmeter out, get the manual hopefully off a Wi-Fi engine or somewhere like that, and start measuring a few voltages, making sure it's all working correctly. Then all of a sudden, towards the bottom left hand corner here, I see a crack in the board, which isn't apparent now because this is the board after it's been mended. I did take a picture of it with a crack, but unfortunately that got deleted, but you'll see me mending it anyway. So there was a crack down the bottom here, so I thought what I'll do now is actually take the board out. Now to take this board out, we're going to have to undo this connection here, which just pulls out. Just gently give it a wiggle and pull it out. After doing that connection, we go on to removing this connection here. Again, you may just have to give this a little push, a little clip, wiggle it outwards. After that, we want to take these 2 screws from the back off. Then after them 2 screws have been removed, we want to remove these 3 screws holding the main board in place. And once they're all undone, we can get on with actually mending the circuit board that's got the crack in it. As you can see quite clearly here, this is where the crack is, near the fastening of the hole that we use where the screw goes through holding this board to the actual main chassis itself. So what we're going to do is have a little look at the other side where I've actually started to scrape some of the solder mask away. And this is how the board would have looked if the solder mask and everything was intact and it didn't have the crack in it. It would have looked pretty much like this. What I'm going to do now then is start scraping that solder mask off that green coloured protective layer on top of the copper track. I'm going to start scraping that off with a screwdriver, a little screwdriver, keeping the blade of the screwdriver as level as possible. And it takes quite a few scrapes, and I'm scraping away from the board to the outer edge. The reason I do that is if you've done it the other way around, you may just catch that track and actually start lifting it this way. I'm scraping from the inward board to the outer board, and it takes quite a few scrapes, and eventually the copper track will start to show through. You've got to give it a reasonable bit of pressure, obviously not too hard, but a reasonable bit of pressure. You get the idea of it, I think. And what I'm going to do is turn the board round. We've got a little bit this side as well, near a solder joint. I could have actually put a bit of wire and bridged it across. I'll show you another little picture in a minute of me, not me, but a way of actually maybe just using a piece of wire rather than doing this. Is a couple of ways of doing this. I'm going to use a little bit of super glue to super glue that other little edge that's broken off back on, just a small amount, just to hold it in place. And then I'm going to solder it all together. So once all that's nice and clean, I'll show you me doing a little bit of soldering. You're actually going to see me do the super glue. I forgot actually done this video, so yeah, I couldn't get the actual spout bit off. It's kind of got stuck on there. They do after a while, so I've just dipped the screwdriver into this super glue. Just going to put one little drop on the edge of this little board that's come off, this little part of the circuit board that's cracked and fell off, and just going to attach it to the main board. And I suggest you leave it on there for 12 or 24 hours really. I literally only left it on there for 10 minutes, and it wasn't dry completely, as I wanted to do the video as quick as possible. But anyway, if you're doing it yourself, probably let it dry for 12 or 24 hours, even though it says 5 or 10 minutes with this super glue. Don't stick your fingers to it, and then we can start the soldering. So yeah, just get it all there nice and stuck, nice and firmly. Push it in as much as possible without sticking your fingers together. And now we can move on to doing a little bit of soldering. Now you're actually going to see me solder the little bit that come off, the little bit of circuit board that had the crack in it, and we've super glued it on. Just going to bridge that copper track now, where all the copper's showing, protruding, exposed, whatever word you want to call it. We're going to put some solder on that and try and get the solder to flow from one part all the way, like a little lake, little river, all the way through that track, so it's all connected. Could have used a piece of wire. I'll show you a picture of that right at the end, where you could have put a bit of wire across instead, but I've chose to use this method here, and it should work. So that's the reason I've gone this way. So yeah, a little bit of an awkward angle camera wise here. I don't usually do these soldering this angle. If I'd done it my way, you probably wouldn't see half what I was doing, so a little bit unnatural. That's why it's taking a little bit longer, and a little bit more of a bodge, shall we say. But we get there in the end. That's the main thing. But yeah, just take your time if you're new to this, doing this. I think you'll get the gist of it. You may want to try and find an old piece of circuit board from somewhere, God knows where, but yeah, and have a little practice maybe if this is the very first time you've done anything like this. But anyway, finally we're going to get it all done, and there it is. Just finishing off a little bit there. And this is what you could have done. You could have actually bridged it across. I haven't soldered this wire in position, but just to give you a for instance, you could have just glued that little part of the board that come undone, then just got yourself a piece of wire and just bridged it across from one solder joint there that's on the other side track to the other side track, so to speak, if you get the drift of what I'm saying, and just bridged it across with a piece of wire. That would have done exactly the same thing as what I've just did there, doing a little solder river across the track itself. But anyway, it's all done now, so let's test it out and see if it works. So just to recap, when I first got this, it powered on, and the display worked, but the drawer wouldn't open. We checked the CD belt, it wasn't that, and finally found out that it was a little cracked part of the power supply. That's been mended, and as you can see, now the unit is working as it should do. So that's good news really. Brought one other one back to life that had got broken in the post, I would have thought. All the shaking about and that on the circuit board probably just made that crack appear. Okay, until the next video, I'll say thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon.